Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoco.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series now offering our 2024 Quarter 1 circuit kits, and our guest lecturer members, Fight Ramen. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers! Happy New Year, and welcome back after a long year of Force of Will to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours featuring myself, DMO73, and I am joined in the beginning of this beautiful new year by Mike Rance above me.
Jeremy, it's so crazy. I feel like I haven't seen you since last year.
It's been a year, my guy, and Paul Reisman below me.
A worldwide premiere.
A worldwide premiere. We didn't think we were going to do a podcast today, and then Force of Will was like, hey, how about for 24 hours we spoil a card an hour, launching into the new year? And I went, well, we're podcasting. Like, can't miss that.
You have forced my hand, Force of Will.
You have forced my hand. Time to make some content. So we are here. We're glad to be doing it. Thank you all so much for being here. If you like what we're doing, want to go ahead and support the channel, you can click that join button down below. Join the channel as a member. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Alejandro. Love you, buddy. And also, you can check out the links for Pilgrim Memories pre-orders with Odyssey Games. And you only have 10 days left to get your playgroup to order the very first quarterly circuit for Ruler School. We got our first circuit. It's time. You gotta do it.
Circuit.
We got the circuit. But yeah, hey guys, like 26 cards spoiled in the span of 24 hours. How are we feeling about that?
Terrible. I can't believe they would give us all this good stuff on New Year's. How dare they? I'm trying to enjoy my time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's rough, but very exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff. The Discord groups and Facebook groups were all ablaze with all the spoilers that were happening. And there was a lot of really cool stuff.
Live reenactment of Jeremy around noon, December 31st.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's pretty accurate. My phone is, whenever there's activity in the Discords and the Facebook group and my chats all at the same time, it's like, yes, something is happening. Normally it's a bad thing that I have to try to put out fires, but therefore the "this is fine" meme comes into existence. But this time around it was all good things, and I was like, yes, this is good. So you guys want to talk about spoilers?
Of course.
Let's do it. So we start with opening of a fairy tale. 1 white, 1 red, fairy tale human, little girl, mythic. As beginning of the game, if you control the ruler with Crimson Moon, Grim, or a book in its name, you may put this card from your hand into the field. If you do, draw a card. So that currently controls Grim, Aristella 2, and the books. Those are the ones to keep in mind there. Enter, remove the top card of your deck from the game face down, then reveal the top card of your deck. If the card revealed this way shares an attribute, or sorry, a race with a ruler you control, you may put it into your hand. If you don't, or it does not share the race, put the card that was removed face down into your hand and lose 500 life. Also, Alejandro, thanks for joining as a student, buddy. You can pick up your syllabus and report to class, finally.
That's also part of
I'm
the
glad to
effect
see
of
you
the card.
finally signing up here.
Finally.
And then tap, discard a card named the opening of a fairy tale, trigger the enter ability of this card. I really like that last ability, like the fact of like it makes you want to play multiple copies so you can see more copies of it to play into this like pseudo homeland ability of the card, and then it gets around mythic by being like, well, you can just filter through it again. It's nice. I like this card.
I like the fact that you called it like pseudo homeland. Like I feel like you're getting a lot of like leyline style effects recently in Force Will, and seeing it kind of given the same treatment to older decks, kind of neat.
Yeah, it is very cool. I like this card a lot. I mean, it's nothing to like go crazy about. It is, but like it is just more filtering for a deck, especially because it will also replace itself. Like it lets Grim kind of start with more cards in your hand, which makes sense for Grim because Grim wants to be discarding cards a lot. So it just gives him more of a reason to like play into his effect from the beginning of the game, which I really like a lot. It's just nice.
I will say the one thing, I'm pretty sure, Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, Grim only discards Fairy Tale Resonators to search Fairy Tale Resonators, right?
I believe it's just discard a card for Grim. Let's check. Let's all go to Force of Wind right now.
Here we
Just search
go.
up Grim.
Mike
Go
Rance
all the way back
asking
to the beginning of the game.
questions yet
Discarding
Oh
again.
no, it does say
Fairy Tale
discard a
Resonator
Fairy Tale
to
Resonator.
find a
Yeah, it
Fairy
does
Tale
specifically do
Resonator.
that.
Yeah, so that's my only thing with this card is that I'm not sure if Grim is going to use it because Grim's already got so much consistency. I don't think it just needs the extra cards. But
Sure, I could see this being an
but
Aristella 2.
I do think, yeah, a book card too.
I think Aristella
with
2 could
books would
use
be
it.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and also, yeah, the books definitely would benefit from this card for sure. Which is neat. Who would have thought Echoes of the New World support randomly? Let's get an extension rule that lets us play both books. Can we do that? That'd be kind of cool. I'd like that.
And extension rule that lets us play Severing Winds legally in our deck, right, Jeremy?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It is only Resonators, but you can begin the game with multiple opening of a fairy tale. That is true. Yep, you can have multiple of these to be able to cycle. And I believe the original flavor text of the new contracts is, I mean, I have to go back and look at the in development language on it, but I believe it said if you would have to discard a fairy tale resonator, you can discard this card instead. Like the card itself lets you bypass the requirement, and so that would also make sense for this card with Grim as well, because he wants to get that contract into the field.
I think what Alejandro's talking about is that if you have multiple of these in your opening hand, you can drop them all in, get the mythic trigger on each to get rid of them, but still get the draws off of them and trigger all the creatures.
I suppose
like,
that's
that
that's true. That does kind of
head.
sound a little bit weird for the opener of Grim, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. But like to me, it like that feels like it's the same having multiple copies as just pitching one to the mythic trigger, I guess.
But they don't draw a card off the ones that you do that way.
That's fair. That's a fair point. Oof, man, Grim's gonna have hand size shenanigans.
Oh yeah. He already has it with Dark Alice, because you could Dark Alice away one of these and put down another one and just keep going off.
That's true. Lots of neat stuff here. Next up we're gonna be kind of bouncing around, not necessarily in any given order, just because I don't have them saved in a particular order on my computer. But we'll be jumping around a little bit. Sorry. I'm gonna be trying to stick to the order as much as possible. Next up we have Crimson Moon. I believe that was the second card. A 1-cost void, Crimson Moon, Moon Edition, Fairy Tale Moon Edition. J rulers you control, released in Grim Cluster, gain +2/+2 for each moon you control, and imperishable. Enter, you may search your deck for a card with Crimson Moon in its name and reveal it, put it into your hand if you do shuffle your deck. Tap, if you control a J/ruler with Crimson Moon in its name. Return target non-magic stone, non-J ruler, fairy tale, or moon entity you control, and this card to its owner's hand, and until the end of the turn you can't recast them. I mean, this card is like really good for a lot of different decks. It's good for any deck running Little Red.
Rulers
it's
have
good.
Crimson Moon in their name.
Specifically, Aristella 2.
For real?
Yeah.
And Wolf Girl, I think. I think when Wolf Girl flips, but maybe not.
No, I don't think so. I'm searching up Crimson Moon. Got nothing.
It's just Aristella 2 when under contract. Oh no, that he's Red Eyes. Yeah, but it does say J/ruler, so there are rules. Yeah, he's Crimson Moon on the front side. Yeah.
I do want to point out the fact that a card in your main deck talks about Grim Cluster itself definitely irks me a little bit, but I understand why it's there. So don't mind me.
Yeah, it's to make it splashable outside. Like this is a splashable card outside of just playing Little Red stuff. And like the nice part about this is like it does boost the consistency of Aristella 2 pretty intensively, because this card lets you search contract because it's any card with Crimson Moon in its name. So this lets you search Aristella 2's contract.
Do you know what it also lets you search?
Anything that's in Aristella 2's suite, because Crimson Moon is in every single card in that freaking support set.
And invert Grim, because he's Grim of the Crimson Moon.
That's true. Invert Grim.
And Wanderer Scheherazade from MOA, because it's Scheherazade the Teller of the Crimson Moon. So I'm going to search those and then lose the game.
So hear me out. The Grimm's not honestly that unviable, particularly because of the new Rhea XR. Like, not a bad card to search out if you're playing like an interesting Rhea deck, right? To boost the consistency there. It's very neat. It's a very neat card in general. It's pretty cool.
Neat.
I like it.
You also get access to Battle Wolf of the Crimson Moon, which can produce an extra white because this card is also a moon. So you basically get a 2-mana Battle Wolf. Rabbit of the Crimson Moon gets cheaper, so it's a cheaper 8/8 that pops things, and then you also have a quick cast Spirits of the Crimson Moon to be able to pop
Moon
anything
of
on
Crimson
the field.
Sand
Here's the
has
other thing.
Crimson and Moon in it.
It's also void. So I will be playing this in my Abdul deck so that I can like use Sherry Abdul, hit Gris Ballesta turn 1, play this turn 1, next turn Callstone with Sherry, flip Abdul for 1, and have him have Imperishable. Like, yes, please. Like, thank you very much. I will be playing that 100%. Like, that's also just really good.
And if you're going Demon Abdul, you could search out Demon of the Crimson Moon with the Abdul. With the the moon,
or Roamer.
Instead of
or Roamer.
Crimson Moon.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep. I'm just
saying. First shenanigans going hard.
There's a lot of things you can do with this card, which is like, I think Paul and I were talking a little bit before the podcast, and we'll get into it more as we see more of these cards. They have done a very, very good job of signaling who the main idea of what ruler it's supporting a card is. Like, this is very clearly a little red card. Like, it was designed to be part of the little red 3 cards, right? It gives her Imperishable, it's a moon, it's designed to help facilitate those kinds of things. However, it also has massive implications for a bunch of creativity that you could do within the world of Grim Cluster. And like, we'll see that in more cards, that they have done a really good job in designing this set in such a way that like is going to be a lot of fun to goof around with in a lot of different ways. Like, they are not being prescriptive with how you're supposed to play these cards. And I think that's the perfect way to design this set as a set that they are hyping up as together. I'm going to finish my thought, and then you can finish what you're going to say.
Okay.
They advertised this set as a buy a box, can build something out of it that is fun and good. And then you see the design choices that we've seen already with just the 24 cards, and you're like, yep, that 100% tracks. Like, that is not a stretch of the imagination when you have cards like this, and I'm very excited about it.
All right, Pepe Sylvia time. Got the board over here.
Okay, I'm listening.
So in the last set, we got the Rhea Legacy card, right? So we're talking Rhea right now. Rhea's got what does Rhea got? Rhea's got mystery counters, right? So Rhea's mystery counters translate to Grim of the Crimson Moon, which when Rhea flips, you remove 2 mystery counters and you invert him too. How do we get the Grim of the Crimson Moon? The Crimson Moon, which is the 1-drop. So you have this perfect lineage of things. And then you lose the game.
I was wondering what the end board state of that was, but yeah.
There's no end board state. It's just all connected.
Okay, cool. I feel like you just... Okay, whatever. Anyway, next card. Let's see.
I never said it was good. I was just saying it's all connected.
Hey, you know what? Fair. I believe the next card that they showed off was Apple Basket, right?
Be Mirror of Chaos.
Oh, that's true. The extension Mirror of Chaos was next.
Mirror of Chaos.
So we've got Mirror of... Let me rotate it real quick because it's looking weird. Mirror of Chaos, an extension rule for the double Pandoras. Did not have that on my bingo card for the beginning of 2024. If you have exactly 4 cards named Pandora's Box of Hope and Pandora's Box of Despair in your deck, you may start the game with the 2 Pandoras, essentially. You pay 1 void less to play the judgment process of rulers you control named Pandora for each relic edition you control, which I imagine both of the Pandoras will be those. And then white or black, put a non-chant card with Pandora in its name from your hand into the field. Applied the card effect only during deck construction and setup. First off, Tupin, thank you for joining the support staff team here at Ruler School. We will be sending you your work assignments shortly after this stream. Appreciate you. But that activate ability is cracked. Like, it's very, very good. Even if you look at just Pandora's Box of Hope. But also, we don't know what Pandora's Box of Despair is. But, like...
Let's say, I was like, that sounds like a card that would have been released along with Box
Yeah,
of Hope.
you'd think. We're probably going to see that soon. But, like... The ability to essentially instant speed make any Pandora card is insanely cool. Like, there's the one from Vingolf, the force, attack, and life.
That one's
like
cool.
life,
I love
like
that one.
life drain, life loss. There's also, because there's all these force mechanics, you can play Pandora and Grim, which lets you double your triggers for your Pandora, like increase your number of Pandora rolls, your dice you're rolling.
Jeremy,
like, this is like a double Pandora force deck is legitimately something to consider because of this extension rule. Like,
you want to know what this extension rule
crazy
also,
good.
The most crack thing that we can probably do with it. Do y'all remember back when we were tossing Seal Pandora into the grave to bring back with Einherjar summon to get the discount on?
Now we can just use
7?
this.
Yeah. Now Pandora just gets 4/1 cost Omni cancels
that are instant speed. Because you
right.
can just activate it. You don't even have to worry about the Pandora getting canceled. You just use the activate ability of Pandora's Box of Hope.
Here it is.
Of this card. Yeah.
It's insane. This card's
number
so sick.
13 number 13 stonks go way up. Right? It's very, very on top of the back of like having both Pandoras. Right? Like, that's not nothing when you can judgment them cheaper. Like, 2 mana make your opponent discard their whole hand is a lot.
Yeah, this is
also
insane.
a deck in
This
here
card's
with
so sick.
There's also a deck in here with Grim, because you have Grim and Pandora, the 2-drop resonator from Rebirth of Legend. When it enters, you can play activate abilities of rulers that you control twice that turn. So you can.
Well, you can't use this extension rule and Grim.
You can't.
You can only use this extension rule to make Pandora and Pandora. Because you can't play with 2 different extension rules. You can only use one.
Oh, that's right. Because you would have to play Crimson Moon Battleground, so never mind.
To be able to pair the 2 of them together.
So you can only do 1 extension rule.
Yeah. Unless you have specifically Return of Judgment and then bring in a ruler from outside the game, which then lets you bring the matching Return of in with it. It gets weird. But regardless, this is sick for Pandora. Like, if this is one of Pandora's support cards, this is sick. Like, absolutely. This is probably going to get Aaron from my locals to play Force of Will again. Like, I'm going to show him this card. I'll be like, so we're building you a Pandora deck, right? So you can play in locals every week and finally abandon Flesh and Blood. And then he's going to go, I'm not going to abandon Flesh and Blood, but I will play Pandora. And I'm like, I'll take it.
Wow.
That's fine. You know what's fun about this extension rule? Using it in Celesta? I guess you could technically use this extension rule with anyone, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, but you wouldn't be able to, as like a singleton ruler, but you wouldn't be able to play this of Pandora plus Grim. That's silly.
Is that really how extension rules work?
You can technically play 1 extension rule regardless of ruler combination. You just don't get as much bonus from them because you're not benefiting from the tag. At FowFest, both Paul Martinson and Logan Moses, who were playing Ainz, were playing the Valentina Dark Alice extension rule in their main deck list, even though it did nothing for them. They were just like, this is part of my deck list because I can.
Seems legit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's true. Cheat in Grim and Pandora for 1, get the enter, explore twice in a single turn, accelerating Celesta a little bit. That's pretty dope.
Wolfgang 2.0 with the same thing.
Yep. Also, Wolfgang 2.0 could do the same thing. Yep.
Pretty good.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean about these cards are not prescriptive. Like, even outside of Grim Cluster. Like, even outside. Like, don't sleep on Wolfgang 2 being able to go off and get 2 per turn. Like, that's not nothing. Like, that's very, very cool.
Does it work with Olivia in the God's Art?
No, because you need to be able to use a God's Art a second time in a game, so you'd have to recharge the God's Art.
Gotcha.
But the effect to randomize something would happen
That's
twice,
not an
right?
activated ability. That's not an activated ability.
Ah,
Sorry,
and it's
sorry,
rulers.
buddy. Yeah. Next up, we have apples.
Rumsfeld it. Just saying. Go ahead.
Next up, we have. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Extension rules aren't rulers.
Oh.
So Rumsfeld can't turn them off. That's a thing. So silly.
Cooking tonight with gas.
Yeah. Basket of Apples. It's a sub-ruler for Snow White, which is sick. You can have up to 10 copies of cards named Poison Apple in your deck. Incoming Poison Apple reprints, I think we can imagine at that point. You pay 2 less to play chance with Apple in their name if you control a J/ruler with Snow White in its name, which makes Poison Apples cost 1, just as a heads up. Which, by the way, Poison Apple is target J/Resonator you control gains 1,000 attack at the end of the turn, destroy it. That's what Poison Apple does. Whenever you destroy one or more of resonators you control, you may search your deck for up to X cards named Poison Apple, reveal them, and put them into your hand, where X is the number of chance with Apple in their graveyard, in their name in your graveyard. If you do shuffle your deck, then draw a card. Let's also keep in mind that this makes Clockwork Apple Bomb only cost 1, which turns into a kill 2 things, deal 500 damage to your opponent, draw 2 cards.
That seems okay. This is pretty interesting.
That seems pretty good. And also keep in mind that being able to play 10 Poison Apples in your deck means that Snow White's going to be able to flip way faster because she had an alternate judgment cost of 1 Void and discard a Poison Apple. And on her backside, just had the ability to toss Poison Apples and kill things.
Yeah.
That's kind of insanely relevant.
You get more ammo.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
So I think I asked you this before the podcast, Jeremy, but does this search the alternate card of Snow White as well? Because it has Apple in both its names.
Yeah. It's a card, search your deck for up to X cards named Poison Apple.
Yeah, and then does it count where X is the number of chance with Apple in their name in the graveyard? Would that count?
Yeah, well, the chant, if the chant has Apple in it, the alternative card is a chant with Apple in its name in the graveyard, it would count the alternative Poison Apple Avenger or card as well. Yeah.
Sweet.
Apple deck, Apple deck, Apple deck, Apple deck.
Apple deck, Apple deck.
Which again,
Apple deck.
like, that's really cool. You can use her, like, I automatically can see her using as a aggressive flip or as a control, keep the board clear kind of card, right? Like, either way, very, very cool. Freaking so excited. Now we have my favorite sub-ruler so far. I had a heart attack. I'm dead when I saw this card.
Are we not going to talk about Fate of the Girl?
Nope, we're gonna talk straight about Trials from Kaguya.
Yeah.
We'll come back to Fate of the Girl.
They fixed it. It's fine.
Trials from Kaguya. So Seer of the Blue Moon Aid, Treasury EX deck. So you get to just take any 5 treasury items and start with them in an EX deck so that you don't have to play them in your main deck. When you search your deck for a treasury item, you may treat your treasury EX deck as part of your deck so you can grab it from either one. Whenever you destroy one or more J/Resonators your opponent controls, you can search your deck for a treasury item and put it into the field. Okay.
Yep.
If you do, shuffle your deck.
Take a sec, Jeremy.
I'm gonna...
Which is a very important piece of card text, apparently.
K1's at release inherent weakness was that the idea of standbys, which is what K1 was designed to assist on her front side, and treasuries did not mesh at all. So it was either you never flip K1, we're never going to try to flip K1, it's not worth your time, we're playing standbys, or you played some weird treasury combo deck to Alice's World your opponent, and you didn't play standbys at all. This made Alice's World Treasuries a good deck at the very beginning of the game. Epunk, good old Epunk piloted that deck and kind of pioneered it way back in the day. And it also made, when we got Tag, essentially you just played K1 just to play like standbys, right? This card single-handedly makes you able to effectively do both things incredibly well. You can play fewer treasuries in the deck because you just go grab them when you kill things, and you kill things by using standbys and stealth. Prison in the Lunar Lake. Settable for 1, cancel a thing, kill it, turn it into a treasury. Executioner. Settable for 1, kill something, get a body, get a treasury. Like, it's not once per turn. It is properly designed so that if you kill multiple things at once, you only get one thing. But a lot of standby and stealth is kill one thing, and you can set multiple of them. This card makes K1 have a game plan that is synergistic between both halves of her mechanic. You also get the idea of kill something before recovery, get a treasury, flip K1, start manipulating the abilities on your additions, do some just insanely cool things with the treasuries. I love this card. Everything about this card is insane. Ugh. That's me.
I'm going to set Pale Savior and flash in a Hunting Angel, or I'm going to discard a Hunting Angel, destroy a thing, and still get the treasury item, because that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy's custom invitational card. Listen, if I was going to design a card for K1, it would be this. This is honestly my dream card for K1. It is everything I wanted for her and more.
I had to reread Seer of the Blue Moon because apparently she does mention treasury items somewhere on her. It's crazy.
It's how she flips, and on her backside, she can change the attribute instances on things.
Jeremy, I'll be real. Nobody's ever read the backside of Seer of the Blue Moon except
I have.
for you. I know.
Yeah. And Matt Cosmore, but
and
he
Matt
also
Cosmore.
has a big. Yeah. Can you have aid and tag rulers? So yes, you can have K1 plus Crimson Moon Battleground plus Trials from Kaguya plus another Grim Ruler. You can have all 4 of those things.
I thought Triple Rulers was dead.
Trials from Kaguya potentially enables an easy turn 1 Zalus Palace combo.
Ooh.
I just don't think about turn 1 kills very much anymore because they're usually so stoppable with all the things that we have nowadays that I'm just like, eh.
Yeah, you would have to walk
I think I know what he's talking about because you can just cheat in the.
Is it because you can search Zeus Alice?
Zeus Alice is a treasury item.
Yeah.
So I guess the idea would be like play on coin play Zeus Palace or play Palace, use Brad spells to kill something, get Zeus Alice.
So you're running red cards and white and blue at that point.
Yeah. That's the only way I can see that being like turn 1. And then technically you kill your opponent on turn 2 with an infinite attack Zalus.
We'll see if Steve just wants to be nice enough to share his thoughts with the class.
Yeah, for sure.
Or if he wants to save it for the next invitational.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a first turn kill? Put it in the comments so everyone knows about it. You can sideboard properly.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Puss in Boots plus Seer.
Ooh.
Oh, right, because of the new guy that we'll get to in a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
The guy, yeah.
The guy. We'll get to that in a bit. Okay, which one did I miss? Sorry.
Fate of the Girl.
Which one is
card?
Well, we've talked about Fate of the Girl before. I'm pretty sure, right? Because they just fixed it so she doesn't go infinite.
Oh yes,
anymore.
Okay, it's up. Sorry, I have it right here. Okay, Fate of the Girl. The mastering edition for Joan d'Arc. I missed it because I had that's again, things are out of order on my computer, right? It's your flavor of dumb, never said it was good. Hey, respect it, 100%. Let's get creative. I like it. It's dumb. I'm here for it.
I like dumb.
So, first off, it now only gives water human resonators +4/+4, so it doesn't give any human +4/+4. Thank goodness. Didn't want to have Flighter from the Underground Arena being 1 will 8/8 instant speed token. Now it has a tap ability of choose a non-token human resonator and give it to your opponent. It gives then if you do gain red and blue. Also, it's not pay 0 to do that, it's tap. So you can only do it once as opposed to just infinite times. So thankfully they fixed it so the infinite Flighter from the Underground Arena doesn't exist. This still does mean that you can go crazy and play Electra on turn 2.
Oh. Neat.
Mastery this and play a human on turn 1. Go to your turn 2. Give your opponent the human. Pay 4. Play Electra.
Well, yeah, that's how that works, huh?
It does say, though, like, if your opponent does give control, so, like, your opponent can just kill the human in response, which is probably what it's trying to get you to do. It wants a human to die on your side of the field, right? So... yeah.
Once again, blue-red cards always gonna be memes, even when you fix it.
I think this card's still very good.
Yeah.
I think this card is still very good. I just think it's different.
Yeah,
it's much more balanced. I remember when this card got spoiled, and I was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Falchion, the shooting star of water, is a human."
Oh, that's true.
This card alone just makes Falchion a casual 11/11 that can give himself instant speed, eternal, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's
cute.
Neat. Yeah, it's cool. Paul, what card's next?
Alberic, the King of Elves.
Alberic.
Hey, talking.
So, what? It is a elf with 1/5 belligerence, precision, and pierce. With 1 green and 2 void. You pay 1 less to play for every elf you control, meaning if you're playing with Christie, it's going to start as a 2 cost. This card gains +2/+2 for each elf you control. So its base stats, honestly, if you're playing with Christie, is a 5/9. Because it counts himself. Enter, look at your opponent's hand. You may choose a resonator from among them, add it to the field under your opponent's control. If you rested, if you do, it loses all abilities and becomes a 100/100 until the end of the turn. So, or to the end of the game. So, one thing that's interesting about this is apparently, according to the judges group, you'll still trigger the enter effect of the thing. Because it's still entering the field, thus triggering its enter effects. Yeah, and then it loses all of its abilities. So I'm not entirely sure how good that is. But the idea of seeing a boss monster that has like an inopportune enter effect and just like getting it out of the way, or just like having the hand knowledge, or like being able to kill it, is still pretty neat. I think like it definitely I think is worth playing this guy, especially since other copies of it will then turn into being 1/1s, right? And just being able to like rip your. It's like. I get to give you an enter effect, but I also get to discard a card out of your hand, like at a time when you didn't want to. And also really plays into Christie's kind of whole shtick of like going on a hunt. This card's pretty neat. Yeah, turning a Garion into a useless 100/100. Yeah, again, like making them take something that like they didn't want to have to use that yet, and you're just killing it, right? Is nice.
Killing a Fiola seems good to me.
Yeah.
What? My question, why does this thing have Pierce if you're going to be attacking the thing that you summon from hand?
In case they block. So you could also kill the thing.
I guess.
That's true. It does have Pierce and Precision. Charlie Dumel's favorite combination.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm also a stark non-believer in Precision Pierce.
Electra only deals a puny 100 damage now. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. Take the Electra, make her 100/100, and then she hits the board for 100, and I kill her anyway. And I'm like, that's fine. That's actually pretty solid. Like, it's a pretty good anti-Electra tech. Yeah, Vic, that's a good
removal in green of all things, right? Like, geez.
It's also
like,
really funny.
Yes.
It's also kind of funny how, like, obviously we're talking about it for the enter effect and everything like this, but also, like, if you just put a bunch of elves in the field, this guy just kills your opponent. Like, that's kind of cute.
It's not elf ball. It's not elf ball.
It's elf ball. It's
Oh no!
It's not the elf ball.
Go to Richelieu quickly.
No, Jeremy, it's not the elf ball. It's just a ball of elves.
Yeah, it's just a ball of elves.
That is.
I'm gonna play against Jeremy. I'm gonna put all my elf tokens in just like a circle on the field.
Yeah.
See, the question is, does the ball of elves all say "kill us now" like in unison, or do they say it like slightly off?
I think it's slightly off.
Another?
I think it's slightly off.
They don't. No, they don't say anything. It's like Legion from Castlevania. They're all just in like this like giant hovering mass.
Yeah, the hovering ball is important.
That's a different kind of orb.
This card, I mean, like, but this card is like this card is playable even outside of like Christie, right? Like, I mean, especially with any deck that runs Lorite is suddenly seeing like Albrecht be like a viable card to play in its pool, right? Because imagine you have this Lorite that's just been sitting there, and now Albrecht's only going to cost 2, and like is going to get a be that 5/9 body. Like this is a very, very good card.
It's been in front of us the whole time. You just Albrecht out the card from their hand, and then they trigger the enter effect, and you Lorite it.
And then you Lorite it, making Albrecht bigger, and then you're good to go. Piece of cake.
It also supports token feasting, by the way.
Token feasting as well. Yep, for every elf you control. That's also very good. Again, this set is so freaking good. Like, everything about this set is so good. What's next, Paul?
Next is going to be Richelieu, the Red Eminence.
Yes, Richelieu, the Red Eminence, 1 red human priest. So the priest that we're searching off of All for One and One for All. 100. When it's destroyed, the card's owner draws a card. Whenever a Musketeer J/Resonator you control is destroyed, you may put this card from your graveyard into your hand, so you get to keep playing it back. Reveal this card from your hand. That's the cost. Put this card from your hand into the field under your opponent's control rested. If you control a J-Ruler named Puss in Boots or D'Artagnan, you may put a Musketeer from your hand into the field. If you do, non-Musketeer J/Resonators cannot attack until the end of your next turn. This is a combat fog, because that activate ability is instant speed.
Oh, that's right.
So if you're playing Puss in Boots, he can make you not have a combat phase.
Oh.
That's very good for Puss in Boots. Not unbeatable by any means, and it is but that's a kind of a tool that Puss in Boots, to be able to build the board of different Musketeers, is good. Like, it is a very cool ability.
That's also just because of the whole whenever a Musketeer J/Resonator control is destroyed, you may put this card from your graveyard into your hand. That's, I want to say, 24 fogs, considering him, like, from the start, considering, like, Ryoma Sakamoto and Zalus, I guess, if we want to call her a Musketeer.
Yeah. Yes. Musketeers will be able to stop themselves from being attacked. You will have to find a way around it.
And then here's 2015 Mike Grant's coming in like, yo, this thing draws a card when it's killed. I'm going to put this in my Nyarlathotep Incarnation deck to get a body that produces another body.
Yeah.
Then you can kill it. It draws you a card. Cool. And then if you play another Musketeer, it just comes back.
Yeah.
So, like, you can just keep fogging.
Which very much plays into the flavor of Musketeers, right? Like this, swashbuckling, fencing kind of vibe, right? You are going to have to figure out a way to keep this guy out. Like, when you're playing against Puss in Boots, you have to figure out a way to keep this guy from coming in, keep him from coming back, or find a way to damage your opponent that isn't combat. Like, you're just going to have to deal with that if you're playing with Musketeers. They will outplay you at combat. Puss in Boots, 100%, will out combat trick you. And flavor-wise, that is an absolute win, and I love it. It's very, very cool.
Dark Owl stock's going way up.
Yeah, this card is very cool. I like it a lot.
I like his funny little mustache, too.
I also like his funny little mustache. Next up is the vampire, right?
Yep, Laura Vampire Girl.
Laura Vampire Girl.
She's so
1
cute.
black Nightmare Vampire, 3/5, Flying Drain. You play 1 less black to play vampires you control if a J-Ruler named Dracula, the demonic one, so specifically Dracula's demonic front, is out. His J-Ruler side. Whenever a Vampire Resonator enters the field under your control from a graveyard, you may put this card from the graveyard into the field. If you control a Jade Ruler named Alucard the Dark Noble or Dracula, this card gains swiftness until the end of turn. Dracula the split card, anybody?
Yeah, that's
just
pretty decent.
Every single time Dracula reanimates, this card also comes back.
Yeah. I'm gonna add a little cutesy thing here that I noticed.
Sure.
There's 2 keywords on this card, one of which has been in the game for a while, but is codified with reminder text here. Do you want to know which one it is?
Drain?
It's the one that wasn't read at fucking Grim Cluster. This is such a love letter to the role of turning Old Guard.
That's true.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's
true.
Drain didn't exist. It was always when this card deals damage, you gain that much life. Right? The keyword itself didn't exist. Yeah.
Yep.
Bye, Steven. You're going to miss the exclusive spoiler at the end of the video. Bye.
No, he was the one who voted no. I don't want to see the exclusive spoiler.
That was you, Mike.
It was
me.
You. Actually causing chaos.
That was 100% with 1 vote for no. Mike Rance. Yeah, Laura's pretty neat. I like Laura. She doesn't necessarily like have the most standout ability, but I do think she's a cool tool to like make the Dracula Resonator if suddenly count as 2 kind of things. Like you block with Laura, or you block with the Dracula, then you block with this. Dracula comes back, brings this back. It's kind of like Dracula and his wives kind of vibe, right? Like they just keep coming back. It's very, very cool.
I wish there was something for Dracula's. Oh,
if you have Dracula flipped, keep that in mind.
Because it's flipped, yeah.
It makes Mikage Rhea free.
Yep.
It
does make Mikage Rhea free. Mikage Rhea, who then sends another copy of Laura to the graveyard.
Yeah. I do kind of wish, though, that like the Dracula support focused on his judgment trigger to like have to kill something and have a vampire on field in order to flip him. But that's just me.
Well, that was an insurmountable task when you also had to call stone with Dracula every turn. But we're in a world nowadays where like, because I can call stone with Dracula's partner and we have resonators like the split Dracula, which like in seeing this card, I would be very surprised if that Dracula isn't potentially one of the reprints to like very clearly like play into this. But it's like the permanently recurring Dracula, and I only say that because they've shown a penchant for being willing. I believe that card is in one of the ABC decks, correct? Or is it Suya that's in one of the ABC decks, the precons? I don't remember.
I think it's probably Suya, I would assume.
They've shown a penchant for being willing to reprint Marvel rares. So let me preface it with that.
Crazy.
Is that like if the reanimating Dracula is also one of the reprints for this set and you have this, flipping Dracula becomes a lot easier to get that like I have a vampire part, and then it's just kill something, right? So that makes it a lot easier for him as well. And also, I freaking love vampire decks. It's my favorite tribal deck. Is vampires. Paul will attest.
Oh yeah, it's when his love affair with darkness began.
Yeah, it's vampires. 100%. Next up, we have Grimia Deer. No, Lumia Deer.
Yeah, Grimia Deer.
Right?
There you go.
Lumia Deer.
Lumia Deer. A guardian beast.
Because now Lumia is just our waifu for everybody.
Lumia Deer. This is Guardian Beast of the Light Palace. 3 white fairy tale beast. Quick cast Eternal. For every J/Resonator your opponent controls, it costs 1 light less. So if they have 3, it costs nothing. Enter if you control a J ruler named Sacred so Lumia. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you until end of turn from any source. That's perfect.
More fogs. Give us more fogs.
More fogs.
More fogs, please.
This card reads at the next enter. This card reads at the next end of turn. This card's controller removes it from the grave. If it entered the field from a removed area, put it on the bottom of your owner's deck instead. So essentially what this means is flash it in once as Lumia, get to RFG it. If you flip Lumia, flash it again from RFG for free, put it on the bottom of the deck. So like Lumia gets to make use of it twice. That's kind of the whole shtick of this card. I think this card's fine. Like, it's very clearly meant for Lumia, but there's a lot of different ways that you can build it. Musketeer, Lumia, Turbo Fog. Musketeer, Lumia, Turbo Fog. Puss in Boots, Lumia, Turbo Fog. Let's do it.
No
someone go get Zach Tufford and tell him that there's a new Turbo Fog deck with Musketeers and Lumia.
That are in the colors of Amatrosu's Foresight and
Foresight and Blessing of Yggdrasil. The cards that deck played.
Hooray!
That's so funny. That's so funny. Oh. Anyway.
Yeah, this is gonna not be a nightmare for people to play against. That's fun.
This is why I include life loss in almost every single deck that I play. So that
this is why I play mid range.
Wait for me. I did burn. Now it's your time to fog everyone. The fact that this is an all damage fog is very good. Like, it's very good. Musketeer Lumia Turbo Fog is probably 100% a real deck. I mean, especially considering, you can stop combat. That usually buys you enough time to be able to start playing Amaterasu's Foresight. You can play this Guardian Beast, which would infinitely recycle. Like, this is not bad. This is not bad. And you'll be playing, oh my gosh. And if you have Vingolf 3 cards, you'll be able to play the like Lumia like Resonator that like gets to RFG the top 3 cards of your deck to just keep drawing cards. And then you can cast them. Dear
you're
heavens.
absolutely doing that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. Well, we're building Turbo Fog for the channel, and we're gonna be a nuisance. Great, super excited.
Imagine if we had this card in 2015, because then we could just say like, "Cool, you made a Gwyber. I'm gonna make this Guardian Beast."
Yeah, thanks for making a Gwyber Guardian Beast. No damage. No. Anyway, jeez Louise, these cards are so good. I love every single card here so far. Next up is the Dragon one, right?
Yeah,
I was about to say we have to talk about the bad one now.
Flare of the Dragon King. I mean, this is not because this is very clearly meant to be played with the new True Stone doubler, like the one that gets the extra names, whatever. Even just getting Realm of the Dragon King out from the very beginning of the game isn't nothing. But anyway, Dragon J/Resonators you control gain +2/+2. If a dragon source you control or an addition you control named Realm of the Dragon King would deal damage to your opponent or to your Resonator, it deals it to everything your opponent controls and them. This triggers only once per turn and only if you control 2 or more mind lists, meaning that you have to be playing that dual stone, which, let's all be honest, you were going to be playing 4 copies of that stone in every Grim cluster deck from here until the end of time. So, like, that's not a big deal. If you control a J ruler named Fault Gold or Bahamut, you may search your deck for a card named Realm of the Dragon King, put it into the field. If you do, shuffle your deck. Being able to have Realm of the Dragon King out from the very beginning of the game on turn 1 when the curve of most 1-drops is 500 or less and Realm of the Dragon King will just shoot them all is not nothing.
The anti-aggro red card. Interesting.
The anti-aggro red card for Bahamut. Okay. Sign me up.
It's okay.
It's cool. Like, I mean,
it's fun.
In terms of like level of playability or like impact on game state, it feels very similarly to Laura in the sense of like, yes, it is neat. Do I think it is going to crack that ruler wide open? Probably not, but it is still something that they will benefit from and is cool for them to play around with. Is that fair?
Yeah. I'll let you have it, Jeremy.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for letting me have it, Mike. I appreciate you.
I got you.
Baja Blast, baby. Let's go.
Wrong flavor. This is clearly Mountain Dew, like red.
Yeah, code red. Yeah. Next up is Jewel of Wonderland, right?
A Crystal Glass of Wonderland.
Crystal Glass, the Looking Glass of Wonderland. There we go.
Oh my god, so, Jeremy getting Alice cards wrong. What does the world come to?
I gotta leave. Bye.
Paul, you take over.
Out of his basement.
just leave. Addition for 1 blue, tap and discard a card, search your deck for a card named Wonderland in its name, reveal it and put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. Keep in mind, every single time you shuffle the deck with the aid from you're going to be getting stuff from the aid from Alice in Wonderland. Banish this card, reveal the top card of your deck, and check if its total cost is even or odd. I'm going to just say it right now, Dreams of Wonderland reprint. Like, there's absolutely going to be a Dreams of Wonderland reprint in this set. We have multiple cards that refer to even or odd. It's going to happen. Like, I shot called that Dreams of Wonderland is one of the reprints in this set. Enter, draw X cards, then shuffle that many cards -1 from your hand into your deck, where X is the number of magic stones you control named Mood Start, which essentially just means draw a card. Like, draw a card if you only have one Moonshade.
Fix your hand, draw a card.
Yeah, sure. Odd, shuffle up to X non-magic stone cards from your graveyard into your deck. So again, triggering the shuffles. So in either one of these cases, most of the time you're probably triggering a shuffle for little Alice, which is dope. This card's neat. I like it a lot.
It definitely just also searches out Dreams of Wonderland. It just searches.
You know what else? You know what else searches, Paul?
Traveler in Wonderland.
It certainly does. Do you want to know what we can do with Traveler in Wonderland?
Play it while we're searching
the types of things.
No, it's not the one that searches while you. It's not the one that plays while you're searching. It's the one that choose a race. Residents control become that race. So we can do Saints March and have everything unblockable and swing in for lethal again. Crazy. Searchable.
This Ultra Dragon. With the Bahamut, the Realm of the Fire King. Yeah, you can, like, give your opponent the Richelieu and have it get burned. So then you draw a card. So then you can, like, continuously fog your opponent. And then you can, like, that's neat. That's pretty neat. Like, immediately kill it yourself using Realm of the Dragon King. That's pretty neat.
Dragon's coming back.
Dragon. Now we're playing Musketeer Bahamut. That's pretty neat.
Yikes.
Next up we have Rebirth, right?
Yep.
Gate of Rebirth. Castle J/Resonators your opponent controls gain -2/-2 for each true magic stone you control. Enter, you may search your deck for a card named Rebirth Castle in Heaven, put it into the field, meaning that you can Judgment Little Red immediately. Target a J/Resonator you control. The chosen target's attack is 500 or more. It gains -5/-5 until end of game. If it does, recover a true magic stone you control. Essentially, this is like letting you use Little Red's ability to make the -5/-5s into nothing instead, and then get to recover stones out of it. That tap ability is kind of worthless for me. This is just hyper accelerate, flip Judgment Little Red. Like, that's the bit.
Somebody wake up the Germans. Lars OTK is getting faster.
Yeah, like this is just let's just be able to Judgment Little Red faster, which let her have it. Rebirth is a bad card, so like let her have this, right? I'm fine with it. Let her only have to play one. Let her be able to get it out quickly. Let her flip. Like, cool stuff. I like it.
Yep,
that tap ability is honestly meaningless. Yeah, Alejandro. It's a weird tap ability.
Well, what's interesting is, okay, so hear me out. With this one card, you can play Gate of Rebirth, get Rebirth from the deck, so you technically go +1. You've Judgmented. You can tap and target your own Little Red, which means that you can do her replacement effect and get the stone back that you used to play this.
Hold on.
So then it's all free.
Hold. I want to make one thing sure. It specifically says if a spell or ability would increase the attack or defense of resonators you control.
Then never mind. Sad.
Yeah. So you can't use it on Little Red herself. Good try. A+ for effort. Rip.
Oop.
Rip.
We're just judgmenting Little Red faster. That's fine.
That's fine. We'll
That's
take
all.
that.
Lord just go purr.
Next up, we have, I love this card so much, Shemhaza. This is Mephistopheles now, like in terms of like very clear synergy with Abdul.
Feel old yet?
It's great. So Shemhaza, Giver of Forbidden Knowledge, 2 black and 1 fallen angel, demon, mythic flying. At the end of each turn, the player chooses 1. They discard a card at random, or they discard a card and lose 500 life. So they get to choose their discard and lose 500, or just lose something randomly. Rest a recovered magic stone you control. Name a card. Put the top card of your deck into your graveyard. If it shares a name with the card that you named, you get to reanimate Shemhaza. Play its ability only once during your main timing, and only if this card is in your graveyard and you control a Darkness Prophet or Wizard. Abdul only. The inheritance ability of pay black. At resolution, banish a magic stone you control. If you do, put a magic stone from your graveyard into the field. I'd like to remind you that this doesn't say target magic stone. It just says put a magic stone into the field. I'd also like to remind you that we have stones that force E.
Ah.
It also doesn't say put the stone into play rested. Good. So I can use a 4C stone, pay a black, discard this, banish the 4C stone, reanimate the same 4C stone, have it then come into play recovered, trigger the 4C, look at the top card of my deck, name it, and reanimate Shemhaza. What?
Neat.
This card is, and it has the very clear like meant to be playing this card when you flipped Abdul so that Abdul can burn one of his like blankings on this during his own turn, right? But this guy, Shemhaza, will always be free. As long as you are playing a 4C stone, Shemhaza will always be free. You are never going to pay will into this card.
I feel like I'd like this card. I feel like I'd like this card so much more if that line, play this ability only during main timing, wasn't on there. But that's also just me.
It like, because of the fact that you will never pay will into this guy, making it only during main timing honestly was mandatory.
I get it. Yeah.
The idea of like, if I could do this during my opponent's turn and never pay will, like, it would be too good. Like, you would see this guy be played in at well, first off, it's only in Abdul in general, but you would see this guy being played at like constantly. Like, it would just always be there.
Well, tell me if I'm wrong. It doesn't say your main timing. It says main timing.
I'm pretty sure
it does say main timing is when you have priority.
So it's specifically in reference to your main timing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't main timing on your turn.
You have main timing on your turn when the main phase is empty. Your opponent has their main timing.
Alejandro's so right about ABC with this card. This seems gross.
Oh yeah.
Very disgusting.
Rustin. Yeah, you got to discard and take the life loss. Yeah, you only use this in Abdul. That's the only way you're reanimating him. But the point is, flip Abdul, have this guy out. You know, like, keep in mind, here's one thing to think about. Just hear me out, right? We're playing Abdul Scheherazade, right? Scheherazade's going to get us Gruus Ballista on turn 1 every single game. Okay? Turn 1, we hit Gruus Ballista. We play the Crimson Moon to be able to give Abdul Imperishable. We go to our next turn. We hit a 4C stone. We use the Gruus Ballista to sack Shemhaza, we use the 4C stone to sack, get the Shemhaza. Then we use the Gruus Ballista to Judgment the Abdul, and we have Abdul and Shemhaza. Abdul has Imperishable on turn 1 or on turn 2 with a stone to back it up. Like, if that's not an aggressive Abdul start, I don't know what is. Like, that is an immediate like concern that you have to deal with. This card is very, 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 very good, and I'm glad it says Mythic. Thank God. It's sick, and that's all I have to say. Also, the artwork is gorgeous. Like, in a weird, like, dystopian, like, cool darkness art way.
Jeremy likes darkness cards confirmed. Wow.
Confirmed. Yeah, we're on year 8. If it's not confirmed by now, I think we've.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I've. People haven't been listening. Next up we have Pandora's Relic Arsenal. Right, that was next.
Yep.
Relic Edition 1. Your opponent cannot chase to relic or weapon spells you control, meaning that you cannot chase add things that add to the resonators, which is great because now we can not feel bad about playing additions that add to our resonators. That's just very good. Whenever an addition is added to a J/resonator, draw a card. That added J/resonator gains barrier until end of game. Tap, put target weapon addition from your graveyard into your hand. If you do, produce any one color will. So not only just buy back the weapon, but also probably make the will to be able to play the weapon. That's crazy.
Most of them pretty cheap.
Banish this card, target any number of weapons in your graveyard. They become 1,000 resonators, and you put them into your field as resonators. They are still additions. Play this ability only during main timing, and only if you control a J ruler with Pandora or Grimia in its name. I just have the vibes of just Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. Advent Children, the final Omni Slash or whatever, when he's just got all the floating swords around him, and he's just yes, me and my best friends, 1,000,000 swords are going to defeat Sephiroth.
Don't you ever talk to me or my son or my son or my son or my son or my son?
Yeah, don't you ever? But the sons are just a bunch of swords, just
I like this card because clearly they've heard. Clearly, Force of Will and Icebound have been hearing me rip on the fact that Grimmy is the worst ruler of all time.
Yeah,
and they're like, "We're so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Just give me more weapons, though."
You're about to see something that partners well with Grimia with the Kane sub ruler.
Wait, does that Let's move on.
Yeah, the Kane sub ruler. Is that what we're talking about? So next up we have Bandolier of Envy. Apostle of Creation. Tap, pay 1,200 life. If there are no bullet counters on this card, put a 6 bullet counters on it. So just reload the gun. Remove a bullet counter from this card. J ruler you control named Kane gains swiftness, precision, or pierce or bane until end of turn, only during once per turn. Remove a bullet counter from this card, choose 1. Play this ability only once per turn. Play a fire resonator, a fire cognate resonator, or fire card with bullet in its name without paying its cost, like Bullet of Envy, which, by the way, bumps up your people if you have less life than your opponent. Kind of crazy. Sorry. Target cognate spell or activate or automatic ability of a cognate cannot be canceled until end of turn. You remember Red Moonchild? How we banned that card?
Yeah, I remember that. That's funny.
What
right?
if we just? What if we just gave Kane that, but just for cognates? Just for cognates. It's fine.
You know what? I think it's okay if it's just for Kane.
I think it's fine. I think it's okay. And then destroy target resonator you control. Which, by the way, a lot of the cognates would get some kind of advantage or do something when you destroyed your own things. This plus Kane Grimia cognate weapons is a deck that I would not have called that I want to build for the channel, but I'm absolutely going to build it for the channel. You know what? Even better. I'm gonna have Mike build it, and then I'm gonna play it for the channel. I'm gonna say, Mike, Kane, and Grimia, you have been assigned a deck. It is the Mike Rants special.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
How do sub rules work?
You just get them.
Perfect. Okay, we got this.
You just get them. Yeah. This is very cool. Paul?
Kane is Keurig now. Let's go.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Feel old yet?
And it also decreases your life, which means that Pandora will be flipping cheaper, which means that Grimia will be flipping cheaper.
Funny.
Kane
is now Lizard Man, and Lizard Man.
Well, keep in mind that this doesn't say only once per turn during your turn, so you can just like use the get a free cognate like every turn. Like that's kind of correct.
But wouldn't you have to? Doesn't the timing have to line up, or am I?
Play this ability only one. There's a hard once per turn on both effects.
Yeah, correct? But I can do it during my turn and your turn.
Are there ones that have quick cast?
It doesn't. It just says at resolution play a fire cognate resonator. It doesn't.
I feel like
you force stuff onto the chase by this card's effect.
All right, that's fun. Let's do that.
Yep. Also means that you could just instant speed play Bullet of Envy. Talk about a combat trick.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
What other bullets?
Next up's the moon, right?
That's the moon. That's a space station. Anyway.
Moon Jewel.
Yeah,
the Moon Jewel. Fleeting Moon Jewel, the K2 support. Treasury item Moon, pay 1 blue. Mythic Eternal. If you control a J/ruler with Seer of the Blue Moon or Moon Princess or Kaguya in its name, so also works for any Kaguya, you may put a treasury item or moon edition from your hand into the field. So this just counts as 2 treasury items. Let's go. Rest or recover to treasury item you control or moon. Produce, or you tap this and rest a second thing. Produce 1 moon. Or tap and banish this card to produce 1 blue and 1 moon. Play this ability only if you control a ruler with Seer of the Blue Moon or Moon Princess in its name. I don't know why this is good for Seer of the Blue Moon, but it is good for Moon Princess because it just immediately like helps you get to Judgment Her faster. But yeah, this card's pretty dope. Moons. All the Kaguya lovers out there are just like, wow, this card's really good. Not wrong.
Becoming a Kaguya fan.
Phil Mosca is like seething right now. He's going
yeah, for sure. Phil's like vibrating. Phil's vibrating.
I wish you watched this.
Next up, we have the Dunyazad, Sister of the Teller. 1 green, human story, eternal, 0-1, cannot be banished. If a story resonator would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, you may remove it from the game instead. Enter, you may search your deck for a card named Stories Told in 1001 Nights, remove it, and put it into your hand. If you do, shuffle your deck. Tap, target a resonator or addition in your graveyard or removed area. If the combined number of cards in your graveyard or your removed area that share a name with the chosen target are 4 or more, including the chosen target, you can put it into the field. If you do, draw a card. This card is already setting up some very silly things with Invitation to Purgatory that I would not be surprised if it doesn't get combo banned out the gate. Because it just becomes pay 3 will, put anything into the field. Over the course of 2 turns, which also means Alice's World. Just Invitation to Purgatory, remove all 4 copies of Alice's World. And then take infinite turns if you have some way to sack the Alice's World from the field. So just take infinite turns again. I would not be surprised if we don't see this card banned with Invitation to Purgatory, or not Invitation to Purgatory, Invitation to New Valhalla, just for a safety precaution feature. But this card is very, very neat for the alt win con idea of Scheherazade for sure.
Me waiting another 6 months for the next card that needs to get combo banned with Invitation to Valhalla coming out.
Well, the last one that got banned was Brad, who's now fully banned, so...
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Invitation's always been one of those cards that's been like, does this need to exist? But I get it.
Yeah. I mean, like, it might not be relevant because but like, the problem with this is that none of Dunyazade's abilities are linked to Scheherazade. Like, you don't have to be playing, she's generic, right? So you can just play this Invitation to New Valhalla and Dunyazade package in any deck. And it's like, maybe too good. Maybe too good. But also maybe not. Like, we have so many ways to interact with Alice's World now that it's like, honestly, might not be that big of a deal. Like, with the amount of will and the fact that it is over the course, it has to take place over 2 turns. Like, it's probably fine.
Yeah, I would say at this point, there has to be a particular resonator target because there's not enough editions that are that good. Even Alice's World isn't that good.
I mean, infinite turns makes everything good.
I mean, are you seeing infinite turns with this card in Alice's World?
If you have a way to sacrifice the Alice's World that you cheat in first, this card is infinite turns. Because it can target the Alice's World in graveyard, see that the other 3 are in the RFG, and you just keep reanimating the Alice's World over and over again.
Sure.
But that's probably it. Like, that's probably the best thing that this card could do. It can turn into any Resonator, though. Like, you just remove 4 copies of any Resonator.
Yeah, that's potentially problematic. Potentially.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of things that you can do to stop it that are, like, in the realm of possibility. But it's something to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if this was just for Seer of the Blue Moon, or just for Storyteller, I would be less concerned, because then it's like, oh, I'm playing against a Sherry deck. Gotta watch out for Tehanyazad and what she's gonna do. But the fact that none of that is tied to Stories Told in 1001 is like, not problematic enough for me to be scared, but something enough for me to go, There.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Still a cool card though. Next up we have Father Dagon, Familiar of Cthulhu. We're going way past an hour, but I knew we were going to go way past an hour with how many cards they
got a few cards to talk about.
Father Dagon, Familiar of Cthulhu, Incarnation, blue-black, and blue-black. Reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Put a Cthulhu from among them into your hand. Put the rest in your graveyard. Otherwise, put the rest in the bottom of your deck in any order. So if you miss a Cthulhu, they go to the bottom of the deck. Otherwise, they go to your graveyard. Beginning of your end phase, if you don't control a J/Resonator, you can reanimate this card from your graveyard into the field. This ability only triggers if you control a Cthulhu J/Ruler or a Fiend J/Ruler. Very cool incarnate support. You just like keep sacking them off for the things that you're incarnating, and then if those things that you incarnated die, then Father Dagon just comes back and continues to fill up the graveyard and stuff.
Paul, you're an authority on this. Is this the first merman we've ever seen in Force of Will?
Yeah, it is the first merman.
How do you feel about that? Give me your thoughts, Mr. Mermaid Enthusiast / Boo Simp.
I think that beauty is the essence of life, and wetness is the essence of beauty.
Oh, I don't.
You know
I
what?
didn't like that sentence. I didn't like that sentence at all.
You heard it right, everybody, folks. Let's keep beauty moist. Quote Paul Russman.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that sentence at all.
If you understand that reference, high five to you.
Oh, I don't. Damn.
Let's move on from that card, shall we? Let's talk about some extension rules. We got Return of the Conjurer, our Gil extension rule. You may play the judgment process of rulers you control named Gil while they are rested. This is very good for Gil. J rulers you control named Gil or Gil the Gifted Conjurer gain the following abilities. Whenever you discard or banish an elemental, produce a color. Spend this will only to play elementals or spirit magics. This ability only triggers once per turn. Keep in mind that the Forest Ranger Leafs, like Black Leaf, Blue Leaf, or whatever, they have just pay 0 discard effects. Mm-hmm. So those now immediately all become ramp for spirit magics. That's pretty good. And then whenever you produce 2 or more will from a source, you may play a target spirit magic chant from your graveyard. If you do, remove it from the game as it resolves. You do still have to pay cost, but double cycling your spirit magics is pretty good. Yeah. This is one of the extension rules that people have been talking about playing Wind Station to go into like Gil plus Olga. And I kind of see that because you get Return of Judgment, and then you can also get this. But like, I also don't hate this as just a card for Gil. Like, just starting as Gil and using this card. Like, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Damn, you can't dinner time into it because you have to play the spirit magic. That's
Correct.
sad. Very sad.
Still very cool though. I like it a lot. I mean, I think it's still probably best so that you can get Return of Judgment to be able to start as Wind Station and then go into this, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll see exactly how Gil works. Paul is shaking. Paul just hates stations. Paul doesn't like playing stations.
Solo stations is awful, and I hate it.
No stations.
I hate it.
Next up we have... Why is this one not... Okay, well, I'll rotate it. Rotate. Next up, Return of the Usurper. You turn to the Usurper. Yarla Thothep's extension rule. J rulers you control against Scarlet, the Crimson Beast, cannot lose Imperishable. That's so huge.
Yeah.
Like, Death Scythe cannot take Imperishable from her. Like, that's big. J rulers you control name the Death Girl or Scarlet. Gain the following abilities. Pay 0. Put target dinosaur or legacy from your graveyard or removed area into your hand. Play this ability only during your turn and only once per turn. Null. If you would draw one or more cards, draw that many cards plus 1 instead. This allows you to make use of her reincarnation. Because you can have the reincarnation in graveyard, judgment, hold priority, put the reincarnation card back into your hand with the extension rule, and flip it. They said the reincarnation was going to make it so the extension rule would make it so reincarnation works. Yup.
Oh, did I do that?
This is very cool. Like, this is very, very cool. I mean, also makes really good use of her discard ability, right? Because you can just be pitching discard. Like, you can just pitch dinosaurs and buy it back over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, you can, like, this is very cool. I like this card a lot.
End your turn with 2 cards in hand as opposed to
Yep.
Yeah. Actually, you start your turn with 2 cards in your hand. Because unlike Beatrice, you don't draw at the end of your turn.
Yeah. It's very nice. I like it. Cool support.
Noticed. Okay.
Yeah. Next up we've already seen the Rhea one. I believe that's unchanged. Return of the Guardian. J rulers you control named Alice Fairy Queen gain swiftness and imperishable. J rulers you control with the printed name Alice Girl of the Lake or Alice Fairy Queen, so not the ascended one as far as we know, gain the following abilities. Pay 1 white, fairies you control gain eternal until the end of turn, or pay 1 void, discard a card, put a 4/4 light fairy resonator token with flying into the field, play this ability only during main timing and only once per turn. So the idea being that there's a trade-off between playing ascended and playing regular. If you play the OG, your judgment cost is more, but you have natural built-in way to protect the established fairy boards. Like, you just have the ability to protect your fairy boards, so the fact that the judgment costs more isn't that big of a deal because you will be able to sustain those boards more and generate fairies more. Or B, you can play the Ascended and Judgment faster, but have a more vulnerable board state. Like, if your board gets answered, that's the risk. Like, you can play a more aggressive fairy opener, but if you get answered, you can't protect it as easily. It does kind of mean that the Ascended and the OG both have uses, which I think is a really neat way to do this. Not sure if I agree with doing it that way, but I see what they were going for.
Alice reascended.
Alice descended, but also getting an extension rules.
It's like way.
Yeah, that's ended. Yeah, I like that. Alice sended.
Alice lateral sended.
Yeah, there we go. That's it. That's the one. We've workshopped it. That's the one. Alice tangent. That's it. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I like this card. I think it's cool. Which also means that we know because of the cell sheet that Rhea, we can predict because of the cell sheet that Alice, Rhea, Gil, Scarlet, and IU are being reprinted in Pilgrim Memories, which means that the one in Pilgrim Memories is probably the OG, not the Ascended one, which also then makes sense that it's, again, tied towards OG Alice. So, also, gorgeous artwork. Wednesday,
thank you, Wednesday, for
killing it.
Did it again.
Killing it every single time.
Done it again.
You've done it again. And then I'm trying to find the IU one. Here's the IU one. Return of the Shaman. If your starting ruler is IU, you may play up to 4 copies of cards named IU or Rabbit Wave in your deck. J rulers you control gain the following abilities. You pay 1 void less to play souls. Discard a card. Reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Put a card from among them into your hand. The rest in the bottom of your deck. Play this ability only once per turn. That's during both players' turns. So like, you get to set up your hands way better as IU for a singleton deck.
Too.
Yeah, I know, it's great. This card is also very similarly to Gil, just straight good for starting as IU. Like, it just makes starting as IU good. Because here's one thing that we have learned about reincarnation. If I kill a reincarnated J-Ruler, it doesn't make the ruler I reincarnated on astral. Because I'm killing the reincarnated J-Ruler card. I'm not killing the OG J-Ruler. At least as far as I am aware.
I love very simple, easy to understand mechanics.
It's good. Meaning that being able to flip IU 4 times, because you're playing 4 of her her reincarnation form, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
The trade-off being that you probably don't play Sword Strike anymore.
Oh, yeah. Not anymore. But like,
oh
no, yeah. We got Rabbit Wave instead. Like, we'll do Rabbit. We'll have Rabbit Wave instead.
But this card makes you completely unaffected by the Celesta card, where you look at the top 7 of somebody's deck.
That's true. That's true. It also means that like one and only, like you're probably playing one and only more comfortably now instead of Sword Strike because of the ability to like play one and only for free off of the reincarnation. Take what I said. Take what I said about reincarnation losing astral at like 90% confident. To give myself room to potentially be wrong, but I'm like 90% sure that if you kill something that has reincarnation, it doesn't make the J-Ruler astral.
The scariest part of this card is the fact that Minha now has support for a deck that he already is able to just like magically pilot.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Terrifying. I will.
There it is.
I will.
There it is.
I will cry and scream.
Kaltuma picked a wrong time to go into just exclusively judging in TO for Force of Will.
For real,
they brought his Lady IU back. And then we saw two reprints so far, which is first up is Mikage Rhea getting another artwork. This is now her
Thank God,
4th.
I needed another one.
Honestly,
give me more Rhea.
Honestly, people did need more Mikage Reyes in like this needed card. But this is artwork number 4 for her of this card.
So you can have a full playset of her with different artworks.
With different artworks. Yeah, it's
phenomenal.
Great.
Let's go. Jeremy, can you turn May? Oh, no, I think you already turned Ray right side up in the...
Yeah, I did. It does exactly what it has always done. It's a nice reprint. It's nice artwork. It'll be good to get into the community's hands. Nothing really else to say about that. The next reprint that we had was Tinkerbell, Spirit of the Light Trials, with just had some corrective text for like future proofing concepts, which is if a player already put a resonator with total cost 1 into the field under your control this turn, draw 2 cards. It now says like essentially it translates to if anybody put a 1-drop into your field, you get to draw 2 cards, and if anybody put a 2-drop into the field, you get to blow everything up. It's just clarifying text to make it more clear. It functionally the same as it was before. It's just worded differently.
What was the original wording on Tinkerbell?
It just says if a was put into your field. It doesn't have that if a player put it into your field. It just says if this was put into your field.
I feel like they could have gotten away with enter your field, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it's nothing big. Okay, so we get an exclusive spoiler to end the night.
No, Jeremy, I don't want to see it.
Well, then leave.
Okay, no, I want to see it. I'm here.
Okay, that's fair.
I lied.
Okay,
I lied
so
Call that bluff.
Called it. Do we want to see? I'm trying to think.
Show us the one for Abdul.
I don't have one for Abdul.
Jeremy, it's your favorite ruler from.
I know.
You gotta get your connections.
I gotta get people to come. So here's what I'm gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do. This is one that's kind of a standalone spoiler. The other four that I have are kind of like paired. So
wait, Jeremy, pick the one that's gonna make me go ooh the most.
I mean, this one. Okay, sure. Here we go. So this is why.
Perfect.
If you want to see the other 4 exclusive spoilers, you're gonna want to come back next week. But here is our first exclusive spoiler. This is Parrot Dragon. It is a 1-cost 4/2 dragon bird. Does not have flying, even though it's a bird, because of course. You can pay 1 red or 1 void less to play dragon or bird resonators of total cost 3 or more. When this card is put into your hand from anywhere without being drawn, you may put it into your hand into the field. If you do, it gains -400 attack until the end of the game. Until the next end of your turn, you cannot play non-dragon, non-bird resonator spells. When this card is banished, it gains at the beginning of your end phase. You may put this card from your graveyard into your hand until end of turn. This is designed to be a cheap way, free way to be able to Judgment Bahamut quickly. I can tap Bahamut and search for this in the upkeep, cheat it into the field, go in to my main phase, and immediately banish it and go into Bahamut. It just has the upside of I'm not going to be able to shoot anything from any damage. And essentially, if you have that imperishable thing, so Bahamut will just keep dying over and over again, this thing will just keep letting you flip Bahamut over and over and over and over and over again, which is cool. I think it's a very cool card for Bahamut. This is the card for flipping Bahamut quickly.
Okay, sorry. Jeremy, let me make sure I get you the thumbnail that you need.
Yeah. Rob pointed, like, I'm the only one who pointed the right direction on screen.
What do you mean? I pointed the wrong direction.
Yeah, you pointed the wrong direction. Yeah. Paul, other direction.
There we go. Okay.
There it is. There we go. All of us were pointing that way at the same time for like 2 seconds.
I love all the... Hang on. I'm going to look up every single bird in the game.
Yeah, birds.
There's not
bird
many.
Of paradise.
But also, like, the idea of Shooting Star Dragon for 2. You know, like, there's a lot of applications for this card. It's a very cool... There's a lot of birds. A lot of burbs.
No, there's not a lot of burbs. There's 3 birds.
Really? That's funny.
Every other bird that's been released since
is a beast. Is a beast.
Since literally TMS.
Yep, is a beast.
Holy shit,
that
dude.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
And we have Joyful Birdcatcher. That card has 3 targets.
Yeah, this is a very cool card, I think, in general. It has a lot of applications for Bahamut in a lot of different ways. Having a cool way to be able to judge with Bahamut. So keep in mind, this is also like, here's the other thing that's very interesting about this card, right? You banish a Fire Resonator to Judgment Bahamut. Then that will trigger this thing's when this card is banished. So that at the beginning of the end phase, you can put it into your hand. Meaning that then you can take it from your hand and put it into the field. Because of when it's added to your hand from anywhere without being drawn. But then you can banish a Fire Resonator you control to give Bahamut Imperishable, which will then bring it back to your hand at the end of the turn, which will then put it into the field, which will then be able to be banishing to give Bahamut Imperishable. What I'm trying to say is, ladies and gentlemen, go buy Death Scythes. Like, go buy 0-cost Regalia Death Scythes now. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, I got those out to put into my Arc deck from, like, the box of binders, or, like, the box of promos, and I'm legitimately going to keep them in my staples folder now because of all the Imperishable we have coming into the format for J-Rulers.
As you should.
You need 0-cost Death Scythe to come back into your hand. Not necessarily because you're, like, being abused by, like, swiftness stuff, because Leviton's not a thing, but, like, disrupting imperishable play lines is something to be considerate of in this game state. Zeus Alice is a bird. You're not wrong. We can play Zeus Alice for 2 will with this card.
I'm going to call her Bird. She's not even Zeus Alice anymore. She's Bird Alice.
Can't believe Fow is making us play Cthulhu again. That's an interesting point. This card can be sacrificed. Incarnation is Banish. So you could sack it to a Cthulhu and then reanimate it at the end of the turn.
I'm going to sack this to Niarl at the top. Look at your hand and get a thing back. I'm going
and
2
then
for
buy
1.
This back in your hand. Darkness Baja discard control with Realm of the Dragon Emperor to burn the stuff.
I love it.
See what I mean? Like, this is a perfect end note of, like, this card can be used in so many different ways with Vault Gold, right? And, like, that's the whole thing about this entire set. It is designed in such a way to not be prescriptive. It wants you to get creative. It has a lot of opportunity. It has a lot of cool ways you can play it. None of them feel outstandingly broken, just feel cool and will feel good to execute. And like Pilgrim Memories is and good and be good, right? Pilgrim Memories truly does fit the bill in my mind of masterpiece in terms of Faust set design. It is phenomenal, and we have just scratched the surface of what is coming in this set.
Remember, this is support for the bad rulers. We're waiting until we start getting support for good rulers.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to start our progression series soon too. So I'm very excited to start our progression series too. That's gonna be nice. More info to come on that. But if you haven't already got your pre-orders in for this set,
I've never played Grim Cluster.
Yeah,
like I started in SKL, so this is like really interesting.
Hey, me too.
Yeah. So that's it for us. If you haven't gotten your pre-orders in for this set, first off, you're insane, but you should still do that. Odyssey Games does have pre-orders in the link in the description. You should go check that out. And have a great rest of the start of your new year. We'll be back later this week with an ARC match to showcase how ARC functions as the beginning of our year. And then we'll go into more feature matches as we go, and back from next week for more spoilers. So until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I've been joined, as always, by Paul Reisman.
The Divide Conclusion.
And Mike Rance.
Rigby says Happy New Year and wants to leave my arms.
Saying class dismissed. And Happy New Year, everybody. Bye.
Bye.